Hello, and welcome to another stream of visual novelty, as I'm calling it, because we're playing a visual novel, get it? I will be continuing with Paranormasight, The Mermaid's Curse. Let's see here. A little recap from last week. Let's see, we played a lot of Sato last week, and we did some Arnav. So as Sato, we played the, I guess you call it chapter Shadow. And what happened in that chapter is it takes place after Sato was cut down by the samurai shadow demon thing, and she ran away after she regenerated, and she was in the Wakamura residence. And she was in there trying to kind of figure out what the hell she should do. And then she thought back to something that happened that we hadn't seen yet, where Tsukasa and Sato went to talk to Tsuyu, which is Yusa's grandmother. And Tsuyu told them and showed them the thing that she was going to show Yusa and Azami before she was cut down. And what that was a very old bronze mirror from a very long time ago. And this bronze mirror was supposed to be an artifact that was involved in stopping the curse, or at least belaying the curse of the Curse of the Raging Waves. We learned that Yusa's mother was a descendant of one of the people from the island, and that her duty that had been passed down to her was that she needed to stop the curse after it had gotten weak enough. Because one thing that they did back like 400 years ago was they sacrificed someone to the sea in order to stop the Curse of the Raging Waves. And it apparently has worked for 400 years, and the idea is that would hold for a long time, and as the years went on, the curse would become weaker and weaker, and then one day the curse would be weak enough that they could just completely get rid of it. And so Yusa's mother, and 400 years is now. In fact, it's the year that we are on right now as Yusa. So 5 years ago, Yusa's mother, apparently we're assuming, was thinking that she was running out of time and that she needed to get rid of this curse before the 400 years is up, because apparently the sacrifice is only supposed to last for 400 years. And so she went out that day with Yusa and took the bronze mirror with her and tried to break the curse somehow. We don't really know the details. We don't know if he took the mirror and threw it in the water or something somehow. I don't know. But apparently, I think part of the details, and I could be wrong, but I think part of the details was that she was going to use the mirror somehow. She was going to throw the mirror into the specific spot in the water or whatever, and that was going to break the curse or something like that. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that the mirror came back with Yusa, I believe. But either way, it got back to Tsuyu, and Tsuyu took the mirror and put it back in this spot that they had where it was facing the bay. And, the idea is that as long as it's facing the bay, it helps the curse not be so violent or even, flare up. Part of what we learned, though, was Sato started to remember her history. And so what we found out is that 400 years ago, Sato was the one who was sacrificed. But she's immortal. So apparently she's been, just immortal on the seafloor, constantly, dying over and over again or something. For 400 years, or she's just been dead for 400 years and finally regenerated and came back washed up on shore. And so at least sort of my player theory is that that's what actually broke the curse. I think Sato even says that too. So she thinks it really is her fault that she's there, and Wakamura was kind of right, but it's not because she's the curse bearer, it's because she's the thing that was preventing the curse from flaring up. But now she's not sacrificed anymore. And the interesting thing is that she recognized that mirror because that was her mirror 400 years ago. And that's sort of why it's connected to this whole thing, is because it was the possession of the person who was sacrificed, which was Sato. And Sato tells Tsuyu that, and Tsukasa that. And so they're trying to contemplate ways that they can stop the curse. And I think Sato tries to say that she's like, you know what, if we have to, I'll just become a sacrifice again if it helps, and maybe I can block it for another 400 years or something like that. Which I guess could make sense, because from what we've heard in the lore, when you become immortal, you live for 800 years. So she should have another 400 in her, I guess, depending on how long ago it was. But I think she had become immortal just before she was sacrificed. I assume maybe that's why she was sacrificed, but we don't really know. And anyway, so they have that conversation, and then they break off from there. And I think shortly after that was when Sato got cut down and then ran away, and then we're back to where we started at the beginning of Shadow, the chapter. And so from there, the rest of the chapter is Sato. What does she do? She remembers. I remember at some point she remembers that. Oh no! What she's doing? She's trying to find the murderer. She's trying to find the assassin, because she was attacked, and she figures out like, oh, but when I looked in the mirror, I saw the samurai. So as long as I use this mirror, I should be able to go to these locations and try to find where the samurai using the mirror. And then, oh, what's up? Arimon, Rabbit Stampede. Oh, we're getting raided. Oh, here it comes. What's up, Pon Pon? Welcome in. I was just going through my recap. How's it going? Tuka Box, welcome in, welcome in. Oh, I got it twice on my screen. Oops. That's funny. Obviously, I have 2 alerts things going. All right, well, I need to figure that out. You can tell I don't get many alerts over here. But hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for the raid. You just started a good time for raid. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, apparently I got 2 raids, yeah. Oh, is the welcome raiders going to go away now, or is that stuck on the screen? It looks like it's stuck. There we go. That's funny. Yeah, thanks, Pon Pon. What were you playing? Hey, Papa, what's up? How's it going, man? We're about to get into some... Well, I guess we will have some not so dark stuff, but I think we're going to get into some pretty dark stuff from the story today. I was just going over some stuff where Sato last week was using a mirror to try to see a demon behind her, because she's trying to find the person who's using the curse in order to murder a bunch of people, because she got attacked. Just in case you guys were here, she got attacked, and she's immortal though, so she regenerated, but she didn't want people to know that. So it's kind of like the shit has hit the fan. So we're getting into some pretty cool stuff. So I play Neopets and shared screen on my side. Oh, cool. Neopets. Man, Neopets is still a thing? I feel like that's such a old school thing. That's awesome that you can still play it. Playing a Neopets RPG on the... Oh, it's an RPG on the PS2. Nice. Okay, cool. You know, I never played Neopets, but I remember people at school talking about it. And it sounded kind of interesting, I suppose. I didn't know they had a PS2 game. That's pretty cool. Where they are anthropomorphized, like they're like people, right? Like anthropomorphized kind of thing. That's cool. Y'all have to check out the replay on that. Assume that guy's that's a Nirvans or whatever. It's walking on 2 legs. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Cool. Right on. So yeah, where were we here? So just I'm still trying to catch myself up from last week where I was. So yeah, Sato went around with her mirror and she was looking at different locations trying to see the samurai demon that had cut her down, and we found it, and then we spotted someone in the distance who must be the person who's using the curse, and so Sato ran after them, but she admittedly to herself is out of shape, so she could not catch up to them. So she lost them, and then she realized that where we were when we found them was the bay that Tsuyu, Yuza's grandmother, was going to meet Yuza and Azumi to tell them about the how Yuza's mother was supposed to break the curse of the raging waves. Breaking some Neopets lore, how dare they? Oh yeah, they were a little bit loose with the lore, huh? That's fun. Well, you know, sometimes as a creative type, you kind of want to be able to unshackle yourself, I guess, just to try to be fair to them. I hope it was a good time at least. So yeah, so she knew that Tsuyu is supposed to be there, and she's like, oh no, and that's where the samurai was or whatever, so she runs back there, and unfortunately she's a little too late, because Tsuyu was dead on the ground already, and Yuza and Azumi had already ran away. So that was pretty sad. So she's pretty tore up about that, and tries to go and find, I think she's trying to find Yuza and Azumi, or maybe just trying to like just get a grasp on everything, because Tsuyu's dead. That's pretty hardcore. So she tries to run back into town, and there's dead bodies here and there, and everybody's screaming, and it's all crazy because people are dying, because the assassin is murdering specifically all the women at first, which is what he threatened on the phone earlier. And then let's see what the next beat was she finds Wakamura finds her, I should say, the old man that she lives with. And he's like shouting at her, like, you need to get home, like shit's hitting the fan or whatever. And it's like, where's Tsukasa is what he's saying. He's like, I should have known that Tsukasa was the one or whatever. And we're like, what are you talking about? Tsukasa, that's Sato's best friend. She's just a sweet little girl. And he's thinking that she is the daughter of the like rich guy from the mainland who Wakamura was going to actually send Sato to as a trade to get the solution for the Curse of the Raging Waves, because the old man had claimed that he had the cure basically for this curse. But anyway, so he's talking about Tsukasa, and he asks Sato, where's Tsukasa? Because he's trying to find her. And like, we get the option to either say where we as the player know she is, and Sato would assume, or we can send him to the bay so that we can get to Tsukasa first. So I sent him to the bay. It's because I knew exactly where Tsukasa was. So then we beelined it straight for these like ruins that the kids hang out in, which is where we were when Azumi, Tsukasa, and Yuza were all talking about like, holy crap, everybody's dying. What the hell do we do? Oh my god. And then Yuza was just about to say like, oh, that means that the culprit is, because he has some idea of like who's doing this. And then all of a sudden his head gets cut clean off and falls to the ground. And so as Sato, that's when we run up. She gets there right after Yuza's head falls off, and like they're both like freaking out. But somehow Tsukasa is a little bit less freaked out somehow, which does make me a little suspicious of her. So I guess we'll see where that goes. Maybe Tsukasa isn't as innocent as we want her to be. But what's also interesting too is, so one of the things about this place that this takes place in is that it's very popular to be an ama diver, especially as a woman. Women are very much ama divers most of the time, especially in this story. It's like exclusively women, except for Yuza. Yuza's also an ama diver. He's trying to become one because his mom was one, and he wants to, like, I guess, connect with his mother. He believes his mother turned into a mermaid and saved his life when that storm hit that killed his parents and Azumi's dad 5 years ago. It's like this big tragedy when the curse like flared up 5 years ago. And so, yeah, it was all these ama diving women were the ones that were being killed in town, but then Yuza got his head cut clean off, which is like the worst out of all of them. And I think it's because maybe he was about to say like, oh, it must be this person then, and expose it. And so then whoever the curse bearer was like, oh, I gotta kill that guy. Anyway, so Sato comes up and she's like, oh no, Wakamura's looking for you, Tsukasa. We got to get out of here or whatever. So she gets both Azumi and Tsukasa to follow her, and they go to the lighthouse, which is like on the clear other side of the island, I believe. And Azumi is just fucking broken, dude, because his best friend just got his head cut off like a freaking few minutes ago, and he's just can't even collect himself. He's just in so much grief. While Tsukasa's just like totally willing to talk to Sato. And Sato's like, we got to figure this out. We got to figure out what's going on and who this assassin is and all this stuff. And so they're talking it through, and then we reached a point where the game was like, okay, so this must be the sign that the person is the culprit, and then it gives you just like a text box to type something in. And I was just stumped. I had no freaking clue what to put in that text box, because I don't know yet. They haven't said anything, and so I tried a few things and I couldn't figure it out. But obviously, like, I'm just not supposed to know, so I'm like getting ahead of myself by doing this chapter of the tragedy of Kamishima. So I had to leave that one, and we had to go back to Arnav's timeline here. And so Arnav is a guy, he's like a English writer from, I think he's from America. And he's traveling with Cersei, who is, I think she's related to something like a cousin of his or something like that. But she's this young woman who's from the UK, but she's studying in Japan about the occult and stuff, and just like the culture in general. And so he's like kind of like hired her in a way to be like his guide as he goes through and learns about the history of mermaids, because he's like fascinated with mermaids. He thinks they exist and he wants to find one. And so they learn about, specifically the key point that they learn about is this ancient story about this young girl who was said to have sort of mistakenly, was almost like tricked or something into eating mermaid flesh. And so that made her immortal. And her name was Osato. And that is confirmed by Sato herself, that actually was her. That's Sato's 400 years ago. But in the lore, she became like a religious, I can't remember what they call it, like hibikuni or something like that. I'm sure the word will come up again. But she becomes like this religious person who kind of roams through Japan, and I don't know, it's like a spiritual person. I assume it's because she's like immortal, right? So she can't stay in the same place for too long. So apparently there's this lore of this sort of immortal woman who is like holy that is from a bunch of different places. They all claim that she's from their town, but she must be from one of them specifically, right? They kind of talk about that a little bit. And then they talk about how there was this island called Taishima Island that used to be nearby Kamishima, and it was victim to this huge massacre where the Heike, I think is how you say it, the family or whatever clan, went and like completely eradicated everybody on the island, and all the grief from all the people who were murdered like swelled up together and created the Curse of the Raging Waves. So like where the Curse of the Raging Waves happens, like where Yuza's mother died and father, I think is where Taishima Island apparently was. And they talk about the history of the Heike family, and I guess how there was a sword that was legendary and lost, and I think that's going to come up later, but we don't really learn much more than that. But besides that, I think it belonged to the Heike. Honestly, I don't remember too many important points about that besides the whole like island and the grief and the curse. So we'll see if that comes up again. But they talk about a lot of that stuff. We looked at some stars, saw some cool sights, and it was honestly just a big sightseeing adventure for this one, discovering the mermaids of Ise Bay. So where they're at now, I believe, is that now Arnav wants to get more down to like the idea of finding a mermaid, because he wants to find a mermaid because he thinks they exist. So we are now going to start on Treasure Hunt Part 1, which I believe is them getting closer to actually visiting Kamishima Island, because they're not there yet. They're on the mainland of Ise City or something like that. And so I assume during the treasure hunt, they will be led to actually go to Kamishima Island, which is where they'll end up meeting Yuza and Azami. I think that was this one, Time to Meet Up, maybe? They end up meeting Arnav for a little bit because they're like, oh, there's foreigners on Kamishima. We should go ask them. And it turns out they're also looking for mermaids. So Yuza gets all excited because he's like, oh, he's got information or whatever. And he's actually looking, or he actually even knows of Yuza's mother. And how she's, I guess, maybe connected to the curse. So, kind of interesting. Anyways, I think that pretty much covers it. So I think we're ready to go ahead and start on Treasure Hunt Part 1. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining me. Hopefully you guys enjoy the story. And hopefully that was enough to give you some context on what the hell is going on. Because it gets pretty crazy, especially when everybody starts dying. We've gone through that scene as two different people so far. And it's pretty traumatic each time, I will say. Oh, here, let me charge my phone really quick. It's about to die. Okay, alright. Let's get started. Treasure Hunt Part 1. Summary of previous events. After collecting information about mermaids and returning to their inn, Avi and Circe have a meeting to plan for their true objective, the treasure hunt. Date unknown, August 19th, 80-something. Or August 1980 something, I should say. Now then, I believe it's time we discuss our strategy. So yeah, Avi is Arnav. He likes to go by Avi for some reason. Sure? What do you mean by strategy? It should be obvious. We must reflect on all we've learned if we want to move forward. Oh yeah, one thing that they talk about too, Arnav and Circe kind of talk about it more than anybody else does, is that there are two types of mermaids. There's this old ancient mermaid from Japanese lore where most of the creature is a fish and only the face of it is a human. And so it's more like a yokai type thing, like a demon or something like that. Some sort of monster. And then there's the sort of like Ariel from Little Mermaid type mermaid where they're like from the waist up it's a human, and then, you know, waist down it's a fish. And they believe that both of them actually exist, and it's not one or the other. And from the lore that we've gleaned, I think this is just my personal theory, it seems like the one that's a fish mostly is the one that has the lore around eating its flesh and becoming immortal. And then the one that is most, or like 50-50, is they can also make you immortal, but it's like a curse. Like they're cursing you with 800 years of immortality, you know? But, you know, some people don't think of it as a curse. They think it as a perk. So, like that old rich guy from the mainland, he wants to live forever. So he's trying to find mermaid flesh to eat so that he can live forever. Because he doesn't trust anybody with his businesses or whatever. All right. But yeah, anyways, the key point was that there's 2 types of mermaids. So this is like a really old sketch. I think this actually might be like something that was real in real life. Like somebody like stitched together a fish and some bones and stuff. You know, like how there are like fake cryptids and stuff. I think this is actually maybe a real one. I'm not sure. I've not looked it up. But I think it looks kind of familiar. Anyways, let's look at the ashtray first. The most boring thing on the table. Let's start with that. A porcelain ashtray that came with the room. Ashtrays like these are found just about anywhere, so you can smoke without any worries. That being said, I've noticed people outside still simply dropping their cigarettes onto the ground. Well, I wasn't a smoker to begin with. I wonder why that's even on. Is that just like I don't know, just for some set dressing? Alright, research materials. Some of the notes I've taken. The information in them is not substantive and likely of no use. Well, then why is it even on the table, dude? I mean, it looks like there's some interesting information on there. I don't know what that globe with all the like orbits around it's for, but you know, it looks kind of cool. Let's see. Oh, that's research materials too. Oh, all of this is research materials? Oh, okay. I thought he was just talking about that. There's a map, business card. What's the business card? I don't remember this. Oh, is this a business card from the guy we met earlier? It is. We managed to glean some surprisingly good information from that exchange. I don't think we did that last week, so I guess we're getting a flashback. First things first, let's head back to the inn. From there, we can plan our next move. I think this is where we ended the last chapter, so I don't think we actually saw whatever this was. Pardon me, but would the lovely lady and handsome gentleman be willing to spare me a moment? Who is this? Is this the cop? Why, yes. The gentleman does have some time. I suppose that makes me the lady, then. Oh, it's you. Oh, look at this. I've not met this guy. This is a new guy. You've been following us for quite some time. He looks kind of sleepy. Huh? He has? For how long? Since the Issei Grand Shrine, I believe. Truly? Maybe you could try to keep me appraised of things like this in the future, Cersei. It appears I wasn't as stealthy as I thought. My apologies for the indiscretion. But you see, the two of you piqued my interest. Foreigners in Issei Base searching for mermaids. Ah, you overheard everything. How embarrassing. Avi, hollering won't lessen the embarrassment. But how rude of me. I ought to introduce myself. Hmm? Yeah, who is this guy? Ikoma. I'm an event planner from here in Issei City. My name is Kipe Ikoma. Oh, a fancy business card and everything. What a charming fellow. Let's see. Sala planning, eh? And it says here you're the CEO? I'm actually the only employee, so the title doesn't mean much. I see. I apologize for the rudeness, but I actually just ran out of business cards of my own. Did you ever have any? I had heard you need to carry business cards in Japan if you want to avoid looking suspicious, but I still forgot to bring any. But the freewheeling and forgetful man before you goes by the name Arnov Barnum, a fantasy author who is merely passing through. Do you believe me, or am I too suspicious? Without a business card for proof, the verdict is yours alone to make. Arnov is he's a very strange guy. So you're an author, Mr. Barnum. Please, call me Avi. This is Cersei. She has studied more Japanese history than even the average Japanese citizen. It's a pleasure. If you'd like, I can list the top 100 of Issei's best features at any time. Aren't you a delight? I was right to take an interest in the two of you. Event Services Co-CEO, Kipe Ikoma. Profile updated. Let's check it out. Director of Sala Planning, a venture company primarily focused on planning and producing tourism promotion events in Issei City. An ambitious young man, Kipe is both highly driven and extraordinarily tenacious when it comes to fulfilling his goals. He is currently planning a PR project themed on mermaids as a sightseeing attraction. About 6 years ago, with the support of wealthy tycoon Yoshiatsu Yamashina, Kipe moved to Ise from the countryside with nothing but the clothes on his back and an eye to making his fortune. This aggressiveness won him Yamashina's favor, and after several years spent building up experience as his assistant, the tycoon granted Kipe an investment with which he started his company. Although Yamashina could be said to be particularly strict with him, this is a reflection of the high expectations he has for his future. Kipe is often told that he looks old for his age, but as this means he is not taken lightly when doing business, he sees it as an advantage. Yeah, I guess I was saying he looks sleepy, but I guess maybe that's also... in their world, he looks old for his age. I didn't even see what his age was. Did I even look at that? So he's younger than whatever this looks like. Forgive me for my bluntness, but would you mind sparing me a few moments? I'd love to talk a little longer. I suppose that could be arranged. Let's think. I'm not sure if I should trust him. Entertaining a weirdo might prove to be a pain. That said, it seems he's also interested in mermaids. Perhaps we could get some information out of him. I always like to look around first. We gotta look for the bird stickers. Oh, it doesn't look like it's gonna let us look all the way around, so I'm kind of doubting there's gonna be a sticker here then. Yeah, no sticker. Well, we can still look at Circe. Yeah, Circe Lunar Light. I was trying to think what her last name was. I forgot. I thought she was totally absorbed in our sightseeing. Yes, she noticed we were being tailed. Impressive, if I do say so myself. See what she's got to say. What do you think, Circe? Feels like a scammer who targets foreign tourists. Quite the blunt one, aren't you, young lady? Okay, now let's look around. Surroundings. Gusts of winds graze this lovely observation deck. Now I'll take a look at him. So this young man is actually a CEO, though I'm not sure if I'd call him young. His gaze has a piercing quality to it, and there's something off about his smile. Everything about him feels older than he looks. That was in his profile. Oh, there's more to observe. I believe these oversized suits, known as soft suits, are currently quite popular in Japan. Perhaps he is trying to be taken seriously as a CEO. He certainly is putting a lot of effort into his appearance. The truth is, I'm currently planning a promotional tourism campaign for the Ise-Shima region. I was thinking of using mermaid legends as the centerpiece of the campaign. Mermaids, huh? I am sure you are already quite aware of the mermaid legends of Ise Bay, yes? I thought we could hold events and exhibitions centered around such legends to attract tourists. I see. So that's why you're interested in mermaids. Additionally, the Ise-Shima region is also famous for its pearls. I believe mermaids and pearls naturally complement one another. True. There is also the famous legend that a mermaid's tears turn into pearls when they are washed away by the ocean. Oh, such a story would do wonders for driving tourism to the area. People will be searching for pearls left and right. Does this project mean you are knowledgeable about mermaids and Ise then, Mr. Ikoma? I suppose it does. I know a fair bit. For example, there are some mermaid legends that most people have never heard of. Oh, do share. A long time ago, there was an island south of Kamishima known as Taishima. Have you heard of it? I'm afraid I haven't. Oh, okay, so I was wrong. Earlier I was thinking they talked about Taishima, but I think they just talked about the clan that, like, massacred Taishima, which was, I believe, the Heike clan? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. They just touched tangentially on the subject last week. It rings a bell. It was also called Taishima by some, or Taishima. That's absolutely right. It is said that once upon a time, 3 mermaids lived in Taishima. Yeah, we as the player have already heard a little bit about that. I think Arnov ends up telling Yuza about that later, so this is where Arnov learned that.
Wow, 3 of them. Tell me, were they human mermaids or fish mermaids? Human mermaids? Well, I suppose their upper bodies were human, so I suppose you could describe them as such. I see. Then that would separate them from the 3 mermaids discovered in Bet Shuho during the Heian period.
Oh yeah, because he's talking about a story, like an ancient legend about this fisherman who caught 3 fish mermaids and then brought 2 of them to the like local emperor or lord or whatever the status was of the guy, the ruler. And the ruler thought they were so disgusting that he's like, what the hell, why are you giving these to me? Get these away from me. But then the fisherman kept one for himself and was said to have eaten it and thought it was delicious. And I don't know if the legend had him become immortal, though. I think that he didn't in the legend, and so that was like this weird, like, but he ate a mermaid, but he wasn't immortal. But, you know, maybe he was, and nobody found out, you know, maybe he just kept a low profile.
Oh, this is the first I've heard of this tale. However, Taishima sunk about 400 years ago during a natural disaster. The mermaids seem to have vanished after that. What? That's such a shame! Regardless, it is said that the 3 mermaids were named Sobe, Nagame, and Hayase. So the mermaids were named too. That definitely adds to the authenticity of the story.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That makes it real because they had names. That's how you know that it's real.
Pardon me, Mr. Ikoma. I never came across such concrete information. Where did you learn this?
Hey, what's up, Ryder? How's it going, man? Mermaid, female. Mermaid, male. Merman. What's up, man? Thanks for coming by, dude.
I don't blame you for questioning my sources. I also haven't managed to find any records of this tale.
Well, then how do you know about it?
You see, the story was passed down through word of mouth. As it turns out, there was a single man who has managed to escape the island's destruction. His descendants have kept the legend alive.
Interesting, because Yuza's mother is a descendant of the people of Taishima, and that's why she was tasked with trying to break the curse 400 years later once it had weakened. Interesting. So technically, I guess you could say that that is now Yuza's duty, although so far in the story, Yuza keeps losing his goddamn head. We've seen that twice now. What's up? Oh, 3 exclamation point? What do you mean by that? Or is that supposed to be like a an emoji? Not much, man. We're learning about some mermaids. I'm hoping that in this, like, these past, because we're going back in the timeline, I'm hoping that somewhere in Arnav's timeline, we will learn the piece of the puzzle that the game wanted me to just type in during that disaster of Kamishima chapter. But I have no idea what it would be. Because honestly, like, it's some sort of symbol or sign. I think they said something about the sign would be this. So it's got to be some sort of recognizable sign. But I have no idea what it's going to be. So I'm interested to see.
Aha! So it's one of those descendants you heard the story from. That's right. They live a modest, private life these days.
It's kind of interesting because he's got sleepy eyes, but so did that Somikawa woman. She had pretty sleepy eyes as well. But I mean, she looked like gaunt. So we're thinking that might be Made as well, with Yuza's mother. That maybe she came to the mainland after and didn't actually die. But yeah, we'll have to get to that. That's something that we heard about at the beginning, and we haven't gone back to that corpse that apparently may have been Made. Oh, gotcha. He mentioned the 3 after you sent the 2. Okay, I get you. I get you. Yeah, and then there was another 3 that were mentioned just before I think you came in too, because there was like 3 fish mermaids, and then there's the 3 half-human mermaids. What's up, Loki? Oh, might be about time for this dog to go on a WALK. Either that or he just wants pets. It could be either or. What do you think, Loki? He's a good boy. He just wants pets.
Alright, anyways. When the story comes straight from the descendant like that, it does lend it some credibility.
Alright, let's think. Maybe there's some new thoughts we got.
If there really were mermaids in Taishima 400 years ago, then that could prove us valuable new information.
Sorry, it could provide us, my bad. Totally screwed that up. I promise I can read.
I would love to inquire deeper about these Taishima mermaids. If you don't mind, could you share the identity of this descendant you speak of? My apologies, but I'm afraid I cannot oblige. She is not the friendliest sort. Frankly, even I have trouble getting her to open up.
Interesting. I wonder if this is the man... Okay, because I think he's talking about Somikawa. Because in the story earlier, when we were playing as the investigator for the police, we encountered Somikawa. That's how we met her. And then, like, the following day, she was spotted getting on a boat with a man and leaving towards Kamishima. And then, like, if we jumped forward in the story, there was a body that was found that was half fish, half woman. And in fact, it was actually not, like, on the torso. It was, like, up to, like, her chest. She was a fish. And she was, like, totally desiccated. But when... I can't remember his name, is like Oda or whatever, I can't remember his name. The psychic guy, he has this ability to like take someone's remains and then he can like draw a picture of their face that's very accurate sometimes. And when he drew it, it looked exactly like Mare or Somikawa. So it's almost like this guy maybe took her somewhere and then she died while transforming. I don't know. Just throwing some things together. I could be wrong. Because she's definitely not the friendliest sort, so I think he might be talking about her. And if she is Mare, then she is a descendant of the Taishima. Things are coming together.
No matter how many times I visit her, I always feel like I'm only getting part of the story. I see. That's a real shame. Now, this may not be much consolation, but I have another interesting rumor from this descendant to share.
Oh?
I'm all ears. It concerns one of the rumored Taishima mermaids. It is said that a few decades ago, one of those mermaids turned human and now lives among us.
Is that Sato somehow? I don't know. Sato's just immortal. That doesn't mean she's a mermaid. I don't know. Oh, what if it was... No. Well, I mean, because Yuza thought his mom was a mermaid. Because he saw a mermaid when he was a little boy during the storm that killed his parents. He was on a life preserver or whatever, or a buoy or whatever, and then he went underwater, but then he was pulled back up by his hand, and he saw like the silhouette of what he believed was a mermaid. But I don't know. We'll see.
No kidding. She became human? Like Ariel? It does ring a bell, though. Why, that is exactly the story of the Little Mermaid. What an exciting discovery.
Exactly. I beat him to the punch there.
You say this was only a few decades ago? That makes it quite recent.
Yeah, a few decades ago. Interesting. A few decades. That could be Yuza's mom, because I think Yuza's like 20? So that would be a couple of decades, I guess? And maybe she was like, here 10 years before she had her son, I guess?
This former mermaid could even be walking among the people here as we speak.
If the story is true, then yes. However, I'll concede that even I find the story hard to believe. It's a little fantastical. A mermaid who turned into a human? If that's true, things might prove difficult.
I don't think they're going to let you take a human. I don't know. Did he want to take the mermaid? I think he just maybe wanted to find one, but they're calling it like a treasure hunt, so it almost seems like he's going to take the mermaid with him.
He wants to find Ariel so he can marry her. By the way, may I ask why you're searching for Issei Bay's mermaids, Avi? No particular reason. I just thought it'd be fun to wander through some sightseeing areas related to the mermaid folklore, that's all. I see. Well, since you've traveled all the way to Japan to sightsee, I'd love to ask you some questions. Is there anything missing from the areas you've visited that you think might have made your trip more enjoyable? What about those photo spots you put your face in?
Oh yeah, like the things that have like the hole.
We need more of those. Make me look like a mermaid, or a merman, rather.
I know those. I love them.
Really? Are they that interesting? They're a Japanese tourism classic. It would be nice to see more of them.
Agreed. If I saw one, I would certainly take a photo with it. Oh, and please sell more of those little pennant flags. I can't resist them.
I see. I truly appreciate the input. But perhaps things are fine as they are. Then why did you ask? Should you discover anything new regarding the area's mermaids, please let me know. Understood. We hope you'll do the same for us.
Don't we need to give him like a business card for that to happen though? Do we need to think again? Oh, no, same thought. Maybe we just need to talk to Cersei.
Amazing. A brand new mermaid legend.
The real question is why.
Why?
There's a long history of people making up legends to drive tourism. Such stories linger on, despite their veracity being entirely unverifiable.
I suppose. Is something the matter?
It's nothing.
It's nothing. Well, it's about time for us to get going. Yes, of course. Thank you, and I apologize again for taking so much of your time. Actually, since you've come all the way to Japan... If anything happens to you during your vacation here, or you need any other help at all, please feel free to give me a call. I am quite familiar with all sorts of business in the area. Businesses. For example, I could put you in touch with someone... I could put you in touch with someone, should you be looking to interview Amadivers. No, really? That's very kind. You're not just saying it as a formality, are you? A free-spirited lad like myself will not hesitate to take you up on your offer like this. I will call you. Please, do not hold back. I'll leave you two to your sightseeing. Please, have a good time.
Man, it's so funny. Avi's such a freaking goof, dude.
I will call you, bro. Like, 5 times a day, I'll call you. If mermaids really did live on Taishima, it's certainly worth investigating.
Man, I did not expect that business card on the table to have that much of a thing to it. Man, that's crazy. So most of this is the same, like, icon? Oh, the sketch is something separate. Okay. Well, the business card has some more information, so let's look at that again.
It's Ikoma's business card. He's the CEO of the event planning company we ran into earlier.
Alright, that's it. Okay, let's look at the sketch.
This is a sketch of the mermaid mummy that I found in our family storage. Bringing it along would have been out of the question, so I settled on just bringing a sketch. Oh, that's right. Still haven't told Cersei why I'm searching for mermaids.
Do we need to do that? It's just, hey. Oh, we can look around. Maybe there's a sticker. Hey, look. It's Kameshimaru. Come on, there's got to be a bird sticker somewhere in here, dude. This is a prime location for a bird sticker. Gotta look at every nook and cranny. Where are you, Mockingbird? Dude, are you kidding me? They're not gonna have a sticker in here? No way, dude. Did I just miss it? Come on, there's gotta be a sticker. This is like the perfect location to put a sticker. I am disappointed. You know, let's look at the surroundings.
This is the Muda Kumote. It's a small inn located in Toba. It's a laid-back inn that feels more like a private residence than a hotel, thanks to the attentive staff. I could barely count all the different fresh fish we were served for dinner last night. I have not felt so full in a while. Briefcase. My bag, a faithful travel companion of several decades. Atmospheric lighting. Extra lights for the room. A lot of attention was paid to creating a comfy atmosphere for the guests.
Like how it's just all the cables just bunched up next to it. Towel hanger, okay.
It may resemble an L-shaped diving screen, but I think this is actually a towel rack.
You're close. It's a small clothes rack.
I see. So that's what it is.
Yes, normally it's used to hang kimonos, but this one is quite small, so I suppose it'd work well for towels or some other garments.
You're quite knowledgeable.
I mean, so if you can use towels on it, so it kind of is a towel hanger a little bit then, Cersei. Huh? Splitting hairs here?
This is a poster advertising the island of Kamishima.
I'd love to pay a visit to a remote island like that. The name is intriguing too.
Ah, Kame means turtle, doesn't it?
That's why their mascot is Kameshimaru. No, there's still more to talk about.
It's a poster of Kamishima.
I just can't shake this weird feeling.
Huh? Why? Is there something wrong with the island? Or the poster?
The poster, I believe. Do you mind if I take a closer look? My hunch was right. There is a presence here.
No way. Come on. Don't scare me like that.
Oh yeah, I guess one thing I haven't mentioned about Cersei to you guys is that she's a psychic. So she has like psychic powers and stuff. The first time we saw her, we encountered her as the cop lady who works for Paranormal Affairs, and she like stunned us with her psychic power to keep us from what was it? Pursuing Somikawa, which is the descendant that Ikoma was talking about. So I just remember that actually. So that really tells you that we're definitely, as Arnov and Cersei, going to encounter Somikawa at some point. So that probably means that Ikoma is going to come up again, because he seems to be the link between them right now.
Poster.
I'm going to peel it off. Remove the poster. Remove it. Hopefully this doesn't advance the story too quickly, because there's still more things to look at.
You ready?
Yes, please proceed.
You sure? Because I'll do it. I really will. There's no telling what may happen.
Quit stalling.
Oh, sweet. I knew there was going to be a sticker, dude. Hell yeah, it's a holographic one too, it looks like. Hell yeah, holographic Mockingbird sticker. Sticker number 3. So this is kind of like a little side quest to the game. The last game had this too, where in locations you need to look around and find all the stickers because they have like a collection screen. And in this game, they actually have like these little relationship things. I can show you guys when we're back at the storyboard or whatever. But like all these different bird characters have like relationships, like these two are in love, these two hate each other, these two are best friends and stuff like that. So it's kind of a fun thing. I'm trying to see if I can't find them all. Yeah, the mockingbirds or whatever. So these are all the ones I found so far. You can see bigger versions of them. So there's the one we just found. That guy. They're all dressed really funny. So, yeah. Pretty cool. Nice little feature. It's funny that it was behind a poster, though. I was not expecting that. I almost felt like it was some story thing since it was Kamishima related. Hanging scroll.
The hanging scroll perfectly complements the tatami room.
This room may not have a dedicated alcove, but the scroll still really ties the room together. How lovely.
Mosquito repellent.
Each room is equipped with a mosquito trap. They tend to come in through the windows on hot days.
I like the bling out on all the birds. Hell yeah, dude. It's awesome.
It's a neat contraption. You just have to plug it in and place it, and it will kill any nearby mosquitoes.
Hell yeah, dude. Sounds pretty useful. Sounds like something that actually wouldn't work.
Traps like these are reliable, as well as easier and safer than the combustible type, so they've gotten quite popular.
Is that a real thing? I feel like that's one of those things that you buy and it doesn't actually work, and then you get pissed off because you spent $30 on this piece of crap. Is that just me? Telephone.
This phone can only be used to call the front desk. Outside calls are impossible.
Okay, do the door, but I don't know if we're going to end up walking out the door yet, so let me wait on that one. Window.
Light is passing through the windows. It's hot outside, so I'll leave them closed.
Yeah, maybe put the blinds up too a little bit. But that sun is just baking you there, Abby. Alright, let's do the door.
The door to our room. Outside is a hallway with a restroom and wash basin for communal use. Guests place their shoes in the cubbies at the entrance and wear slippers while inside the inn.
How quaint. I think that's all of the surroundings to look at. One more once over. What about this thing up here? Flowers.
Dried flowers. Suppose this is the embodiment of the Japanese concept wabi wabi, or however you say it.
Never heard of that. Wabi wabi. Should I look that up really quick? or wabi-sabi is what it corrected it to on Google. Anyways, let's see what this says. Is a Japanese aesthetic and philosophical concept focusing on finding beauty in imperfection, impermanence, and natural simplicity. Rooted in Zen Buddhism, it honors the flawed beauty of weathered, rustic, and aged objects, encouraging acceptance of the natural cycle of growth and decay. Okay, yeah, I think that is what he was trying to say. Wabi-sabi. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's what it looks like. Cool. I appreciate that. That's a cool one. Cool concept. Alright, let's see. I think that's all of that. Let's look at Cersei. I heard yesterday that Cersei might struggle to sleep on just a futon in a tatami room like this, but she looks well rested, so I suppose she's used to it. I, on the other hand, was too excited to get much sleep. Alright, you ready for the map then? Yeah, map.
This map looks quite old.
Exactly. It is also the precise reason I have come to May. To put it simply, this is no ordinary map. This is the Mermaid Treasure Map.
A mermaid treasure map?
Allow me to explain.
Do we need to think real quick?
I should discuss the map with Cersei.
Alright, nice thought. Alright.
I found this mermaid treasure map in the family storage. I should explain it to Cersei.
Then explain it. I'm clicking on it. Oh, I guess we just need to talk to Cersei then. I guess that's what it's trying to say. Alright, we're ready to talk to her. Talk about the map, talk about the mermaid search, talk about the map.
I found this map in the old family storage. It was left behind by my great-grandmother.
If she's your great-grandmother, that would make her my great-grandmother's sister. I heard she was exiled from the Lunarlight family because of her eccentricities.
That's correct. She was quite fond of the occult and amassed a number of suspicious curios over her lifetime. As a child, I loved searching through the storehouse that housed her collection. It was like a treasure hunt of wonders: a demon's tail, a yeti's bone, a book of black magic, Ogopogo's tooth, a piece of a UFO, a crystal skull.
Is that like a Indiana Jones reference to the crystal skull thing?
I cannot vouch that any of it was authentic, but it was still so exciting to look through. It's no exaggeration when I say that this very storehouse is what led me down the path of becoming a fantasy author.
I suppose that's the kind of formative experience an occult writer needs.
Just so. I have to thank my great-grandmother. She's the reason I can put food on the table. And among the items of that collection was this.
I see. A mermaid mummy.
Precisely. They were rather prevalent at sideshows and the like all over the world in the 19th century. Mermaid mummies from Japan were quite popular because of their high quality. A number of them even made their way to Europe.
Huh.
This one probably made its way to the family storage around that time. It was probably passed from one seller to another until it ended up in my great-grandmother's hands.
How are you so sure it was made in Japan?
Well, you see, I gave this mummy a thorough investigation. I even took it apart. Sure enough, it was made of wood and paper clay. But lo and behold, I also found this map inside.
Truly? You found the map inside a mummy?
Whoever made it all those years ago must have snuck the map inside. I doubt my great-grandmother had the slightest idea it was even in there.
That's an incredible discovery.
It is simply tantalizing, is it not? There's not a doubt in my mind that it would lead to a most thrilling discovery.
I know, is that a little sunken cost there, buddy? Seems like you've made a big travel trip out of something that might be a whole lot of nothing. Okay, we just gotta keep explaining it to Cersei. Talk about the map.
So then, why did you call this a mermaid treasure map?
Well, it was hidden inside a mermaid mummy, so it follows it must be a treasure map of sorts, no?
I see. Your enthusiasm has carried you quite a ways from home. I'm impressed.
Thank you. I have no doubt our treasure lies somewhere in Ise Bay.
What a shame there's no X to mark the spot.
This right here is Kameshima, I believe.
Indeed. And this leads us to our first conundrum. Any ideas how to decipher this map, Cersei?
Put me on the spot, why don't you? But it does look like something is written here. Do you know what it says?
Oh, this? Is that... I guess that looks like maybe some characters there.
Oh, that part. I actually did some research on that. Apparently it says, search the 95th.
Search the 95th. That sure makes it sound like it leads to a secret location of some sort.
Yes, and it must be related to the mermaids. Aren't you just itching to find it?
You know it.
I knew it. I'm counting on you to help me solve this map's riddle.
Okay, maybe we should think again.
We'll definitely solve the map's riddle.
All right. That is a nice thought. Talk about the map.
Oh, wait. I just remembered.
Hmm?
You said you can douse, no? Can't you just douse for the treasure? Then we can skip this whole map and riddle business altogether.
I apologize, but that's impossible.
Truly? But why?
Dowsing is usually used to find waterways, veins of ore, and other such things. My dowsing, however, can be used to find people and objects imbued with spiritual power. However, I must be familiar with the spiritual power that I'm looking for.
I see. In other words, you wouldn't be able to find a treasure you've never seen or heard of.
Yes, the distance from which I can detect this source also depends on how strong the spiritual power is.
Man, we need her to find that assassin on Kameshima, dude.
Sounds like she's got what it takes. It's not quite the superpower I thought it was.
I say we've had enough of a diversion. Let's get back to investigating your map.
Talk about the map.
I say we've had enough of diversion. Let's get to back investigating your map.
Okay, that must be the last thing we're going to say about that then. Oh, no. Okay, so we need to talk about other stuff first. Well, let me look at the map. Maybe if we look at the map, it'll be different. Okay, cool.
Let's take a good look.
Pick it up.
Oh?
Did you notice something?
There's something on the back.
Looks like something's written on the other side.
I see. I knew it must have missed something. I never turned the map over before, over all this time. I never turned it around. I should carefully hold the edge when I want to look at the other side.
Okay, like it's saying bring the cursor here, I think. Oh, and there's a Eureka button. That's fun. That's like Ace Attorney-esque, it feels like. Turn over. Oh, these are the stars. Okay, and that's how that's going to matter. I automatically recognize this. We did this thing last week. I didn't even mention it, but Avi and Cersei were out on this like pier at night, talking about how beautiful it looked and how the stars are so easy to see. And we were looking at these constellations, and there's like one specific triangle constellation that we had to like map out. And it kind of didn't really feel like it had anything to do with the story, but here we are.
Take a close look at the spots on the back of the map.
Oh, those? I dismiss them as a bunch of stains.
Do you really think that's all they are?
Okay, we'll keep talking about them.
Something about the spots feels familiar.
Yeah, I mean, I know what it is. Let's look at the other side of the map though first. Writing.
The phrase search the 95th is written on the map around the location of Ise province. Cersei, do you recognize the symbol on the lower right?
It appears quite similar to Sanskrit. However, I don't recall a character quite like this one. It may be a mark unique to the cartographer, like a signature.
Or maker's mark kind of thing.
If that's the case, it's irrelevant to our investigation.
I agree, though my opinion will change should we come across the symbol elsewhere.
I mean, that's good. It's good that you're willing to change your opinion with new evidence.
It's a map of Ise Bay. Judging from its condition, it is quite old.
If I were to guess, I would say it's over 100 years old. No, perhaps even more than 200 years old. I wonder how old it really is. Look closer. Isn't that Taishima?
Is it this one?
You're right. It depicts an island to the south of Kamishima.
All right, I got it. What was that one?
It's safe to assume this map was made before Taishima sank then.
That makes it over 400 years old and made during the Sengoku period. Incredible.
Taishima.
All right, that's everything here. I guess we're ready to turn over and say, Eureka!
Eureka! Eureka! Inspiration strikes. I figured it out.
It's a bit hard to see what you mean when you're looking at the back of the map. Can you point at the front?
Ah, you make a fair point. Nah, I may be less inspiration struck than I first assumed. I'll have to think on this a bit more.
Okay, so I'm not ready to see Eureka. I guess we probably have to talk about this mermaid search, because, yeah, I don't think there's anything more to look at on here. Okay, so put the map down. And let's think real quick.
The location indicated on this map is well hidden. At first, Circe is here. Wait, at least Circe is here if I need her assistance.
Right, and we need to talk to her. Talk about the mermaid search.
To be frank, I didn't just come here to solve the map's riddle. My real goal is to find an actual mermaid.
Oh, yes, I had a feeling that was it.
So you already knew. Exorcists sure have some keen instincts.
What will you do if you find a mermaid? Do you want to become immortal?
I suppose. Might as well, considering all the trouble finding one will be.
Your reasoning is unexpectedly uninspired.
Simple though it may be, I find the idea quite romantic, akin to ascending to a new stage of humanity.
Sure, I guess.
I take it you disagree with my thinking, Circe.
I fail to see why my opinion should matter here. What you do is your decision to make. Though I am not certain that an immortal can still be called human. Still, your decision is irrelevant to my duty, so I will not try to interfere. Actually, meeting an immortal would be a rare once-in-a-lifetime chance. Please transcend humanity and let me examine you. Let me kill you and then watch you as you recover over and over.
I prefer if you didn't speak of me like a research specimen, but I'll overlook it for now.
Though I do wonder if immortality would actually bring you any happiness. When you look at old folk tales, it tends to be less of a blessing and more of a curse.
Jeez, don't say that after I already made up my mind and everything.
Well, I'm sure you'll be alright. If you tire of immortality, you need only embark on a journey, like a modern-day Bikuni.
Yeah, Bikuni. That's what I was trying to think of earlier. That's what Sato became after she became immortal. That's what that legend of Osato said. But I guess we know now she was actually sacrificed or whatever.
That is one way to look at it, though I think the nun part might be an issue.
Well, I shouldn't...
Sorry, that's not Circe.
Well, I shouldn't get too far ahead of myself. There's no immortality to be had till I find mermaid flesh to bite into. So let's start there.
Understood. I'm also quite interested in finding a mermaid myself.
Let's keep talking about it.
Searching just for mermaid meat alone seems like a waste.
Agreed. The best way to go about this would be to find a living human mermaid. I have no doubt that this map will lead us to a place that's related to mermaids and immortality.
This is quite exciting.
Now, this is what I call a true adventure. No matter the era, there's nothing better than a quest for the unknown.
Okay, we're done with that. So can we talk about the map now?
I believe I've noticed something about the map. Would you like to share my discovery? Or you'd like me to share my discovery?
You have? Tell me. Well, if you are so desperate to flaunt your wit, I suppose I could let you help me a bit.
Let's start by thinking about what's written on the map. Remember how the 95th is written atop Issei Province? Do you recall a conversation we had yesterday? There was something related to Issei that had more than 95 parts.
There was?
Was it there was 95 versions of the story of Osato?
Give your files another look, then ask me again if you're still struggling to understand.
Okay, a challenge, huh? Man, it's been a week. Kind of feel like it would be traditions and history, maybe. The mermaid legend. Let me look at the Osato one. Okay, doesn't say anything about 95. Mermaids? Hopefully the number just 95 will just pop out at me. That's what I'm looking for. And there. Taishima, maybe? Or we didn't learn about Taishima with them. They just learned about Taishima. The Heike, maybe. Princess Hatsune, maybe? I think this is one of the stories that we talked about last week. She was so beautiful, she ended up killing herself and cursed everybody there to never be as beautiful a woman or whatever. That was not it. I don't see how that would be it. Shorty. Yeah, this was like one of those traditions because there was that man who actually took that god in and let him live with him. That wouldn't be Ryugu, would it? Maybe we talked about Ryugu? Ryugu is obviously the one that told Yuza about Ryugu, but it doesn't look like 95 is in here anywhere. Probably not the mermaid mummy, but let's just go ahead and give a little scan here. Yao Bikuni, maybe it'll be in here. We found all separate region in Japan, all the exact details. Okay, not that one. I can't imagine it being Tomokazuki. That has not, I don't think anything to do. I don't think they talked about that at all. The Southern Sea disaster. Did they talk about this? No, this is just what happened. This is the story of Yuza's family dying. The Tales of Issei. Did we already look at this? I don't think we actually looked at this yet. Yeah, maybe one of these had the number. This means 125 episodes, so maybe it's the 95th or something. Episode 1, 6, 9, 23, 69, 95. Here we go, episode 95. Hikoboshi. Having fallen in love with a woman who serves in the imperial court, a man finally manages to meet her after patiently waiting for the right moment. However, the two are still separated by a screen. The man recites a poem to her, proclaiming that his love for her is greater even than Hikoboshi's love for Orihime. Or Orihime, yeah. He compares the screen separating them to the Milky Way that separated the two legendary lovers. Moved by his words, the woman removes the screen, allowing them to finally meet face to face. So it's the Hikoboshi. This has got to be it. Because it's 95. I don't know how that really relates to the map, to be fair, but I think that's got to be it, because that is definitely something that we learned about last time. Should we think?
The location indicated on this map is well hidden. At least Cersei's here if I need her assistance.
Okay, that was the same thing you already thought of. Talk about the map.
Does that mean you want another hint?
No? Maybe I'm ready to hit the Eureka. Hey, let me try that. Don't want another hint if I don't need it.
Eureka! Inspiration strikes. I figured it out.
Did you? Where's the treasure?
Find location on the map. Oh shit. Well, I don't know where it'd be on the map. It was just a story, dude. Shoot. Maybe I will need another hint. Shoot, I don't know. Should I just click a random spot? Would it be Taishima? Because it just talked about two people talking on different sides of the screen. Okay, let me look at it again. Was there anything in there about like location, Imperial Court? Moment, however, the two is separate by screen. Makes its poem. Yeah, there's nothing about a location with that. Man, that's... There must be another piece I'm missing here. Because it said the 95th. Okay, let me give up. I don't know even where to click. I may be less inspiration struck than I first assumed. Alright, put it down. Give me another hint, girl. Okay, what else I gotta put together? Talk about that.
Tell me.
To put it plainly, the 95th must be referring to an episode of the Tales of Issei. Right, I got that. We got that. Determine the title of the tale, then try to find it on the map.
Try to find it on the map. The title of the tale. Okay, well that's something. What was it called again? Did it have a name? Hikoboshi. So Hikoboshi's a place on the map, I guess? Okay. Do I have a map? Culture and society. Am I supposed to remember where Hikoboshi is? Got all the maps in here. Something's gotta end up saying Hikoboshi, right? Like formerly known as Hikoboshi or something like that. Stories. Toba City? That's gotta be one of these. There's so many that I look through. Is there one that just Hikoboshi on here somewhere? Maybe I should have started there. Actually, let's see on my Malasama. You know, we didn't see this last week, so maybe this will have it. Located. Okay, not that. Let me go down to the Summer Triangle, because this is what's on the back of that map. It has to be. That's what those dots are. And then he talked about how the Milky Way split them, so maybe that's another thing that's supposed to tell me to look at the star thing here. Okay, Vega and Altair are also said to represent Orohime and Hikoboshi. The two central figures of the... Okay, so it's wherever this dot lines up, maybe? Is that how I'm supposed to do it? So the farthest point is a dot, and maybe that's how... Okay, let me try that. That feels like a puzzle, right? So if it's right here, it would be like right here. I don't know, let's try it. I think that's where the dot is. Right here? I have no doubts. It's here. Behold.
Huh? Why there?
It felt right.
I hope you don't mind me asking, but would you care to show me a more definitive location?
Dang it. But if this is supposed to represent... Yeah, it's got to be more straightforward. I can't just, like, guess where it is based on, like, that. I guess maybe it's more like right here. I want to click on Taishima just to see if that's what it is. Let me see. Taishima. Nope.
It may be tough to figure it out as it is now, unless you find a way to shine some light on the riddle.
Shine some light on the riddle. Shine some light. Oh gosh, this is tough. Okay. Let me read about this a little bit more. Possibly the famous of the summer constellations, the summer triangle is formed by connecting Vega in the constellation Lyria, Deneb in the constellation Cygnus, and Altair in the constellation Aquilia. Vega and Altair are also said to represent Orihime and Hikoboshi, the two central figures of the Tanabata legend. The romantic imagery of the star-crossed lovers separated by the Milky Way has captivated people's imagination since time immemorial. How to find the summer triangle. The summer triangle is visible in the sky almost directly overhead around August. Start by facing southwest and looking low in the sky to find Antares, the bright red heart of the constellation Scorpius. From there, look straight up and you should spot Vega near the zenith. Okay, that doesn't really help me with the map though, but I feel like I'm close with that. Okay. Well, they end up going to the Kamishima Lighthouse. I don't... No, that's a long shot. There's no way that's connected. Alright, let's see. We had already looked at that one. Let's just go ahead and keep going down. Sioux City. Area suburbs. Nope. Betchuo. I want to figure out what it is, but part of me just wants to click on Kamishima too, because I know they go there. Kamishima Islands situated in the other Shima Peninsula, distant for populated islands under the Eastern Toba. Island came from turtle-like shape, commonly meaning turtle Japanese. It was almost too specific of a spot. We couldn't point out this place. Same with the lighthouse. It's too specific of a location on Kamishima to be the answer. Kamishimado has nothing to do with him. There's no way. Alma divers. Can't imagine why that would be. Here. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. What's up, Loki? Oh, what's up? Oh, he's probably gotta go to the bathroom. Let me see. No, cold craze, Toba seabed, skeletons. Yeah, none of that's gonna. On Hikoboshi, let's see. So we're done with all those. We looked at those. Traditions and history. That's where we got it. Phenomenon curses. Just shine a light on the riddle. I feel like that was a hint, but I don't. How do I shine a light on a riddle? Can she give me another hint? I'm floundering here. I'm floundering. Should I just click on Kamishima? Maybe I should just try clicking on Kamishima real quick. Maybe it's just that simple. But I feel like that's not really much of a like a thing though, because I'm just clicking on it because I know they go there. Okay. I need to shine some light on the riddle. Shine some light on the riddle. It's not like I have tools where I could shine a flashlight on anything. Alright, let me go take the pupper out to go potty really quick, and then we'll come back and see if Cersei can help us out a little bit more and be a little less freaking obtuse, girl. Come on. I'm back. And we encountered a cat out there, and Loki really wanted to get close to it, but I would not let him. The cat did not seem like it wanted us to get too close to it. But we're all good. Alright, the pup is satisfied. And I was thinking about this, and she said to cast a light on it, right? On the riddle. And I keep thinking about how those stars are on the back. So it's like, how do I cast a light on it? I do remember we saw this atmospheric lighting. Can I don't know. Let me open the map again. Maybe there's something I can do while I have the map open. I didn't realize you could turn it over. Okay, click out here. Oh. Okay, so yeah, I can. Can I just point it at... Well, that light's not on. Can I turn the light on? Or maybe I can use a window. I don't know, maybe click on the... Yeah, it's just the same thing. Let me try maybe pointing out the window, because the window's bright. 'Cause I'm thinking, like, it's got to be, like, where that star is, because she gave us a new hint, so it feels like we made progress, right? Pick it up. So if I hold it up to the window... Yeah, there we go. All of a sudden it popped up. Yes, this has to be the answer. Interesting. Okay, so Eureka. I'm on fire now. No more mistakes for me. Let me make sure. Okay, yeah. I was a little worried I left my mic muted for a second.
Have you figured it out?
Point the location on the map, right? No.
I have no doubts left. It's here. Behold.
Oh? And what makes you say so?
Why, it's simple. This is the very spot marks the
This very spot marks the answer to our riddle. The name of the location. Oh shit. Hikaboshi? How do I say that again? It's been like 15 minutes. I already forgot. Nope, not profiles. Files. Yeah, Hikoboshi.
Allow me to explain. You see, the 95th in the riddle must refer to the 95th tale in the Tales of Ise. And the title of that tale is none other than Hikoboshi. Next, note how the Summer Triangle constellation is drawn on the back. The location of Hikoboshi, or Altair, corresponds to this very spot on the map.
You finally found the correct answer. Well done.
Ha ha! I managed to figure it out just in time.
Just in time, okay. Obvious genius is the name of the achievement I just got. Okay, I guess we talk to her again.
Even if we were to search the area on the map, it's in the middle of the sea. How are we supposed to search a place like that?
We're gonna need an Amma diver, right?
Looking for an unknown object somewhere on the large swath of seafloor seems like an impossible task.
You're right. That does sound difficult. We might have to ask our friendly CEO for help.
He does know Amma divers. I guess he did mention them, right?
He did give us his card. However, wouldn't that mean we'd have to inform him of the map?
No other way about it. In addition, should we find anything, I imagine he'd expect a share of the spoils. I really wanted to keep it all to myself. Sharing is the worst.
I understand, but we have no other options.
It's a shame, but I suppose you're right. We should contact him as soon as we can.
There we go, that's the end of that one. Oh, and then there's a new one here, so us going out to Treasure Hunt Part 2. Okay, and we got this. I said I was going to show it earlier. This is where the mockingbirds are. So we just got this guy. So he's best friends with somebody we don't know yet, but he hates this guy. A lot of people hate this guy. And there's like a hate triangle here. We haven't found him yet, but he's got a lot of friends. Don Heron, the maverick leader of the tight-knit delinquent crew Rebel's Roost. Temperamental by nature, he often flares the impressive crest on his head to intimidate intruders of his surf. Although long-term rivals of the Ocean Outlaws hooligan gang, in recent days he's also found his feathers ruffled by the increasingly bold antics of Blue's brutal beaks, pushing his patience to the limits. It's so silly. Alright, now we're going to go on to Treasure Hunt Part 2. Avi and Cersei's quest for immortality is in full swing. Having pinpointed a likely location on their mysterious map, they ask Kipe Ikoma to investigate it on their behalf. However, the next day.
Hello, this is Ikoma. I'm calling about the seafloor investigation. I asked an Alma diver to investigate the area because I was keen to get results as soon as possible. However, she has not returned.
Oh, maybe that's where Somakawa was going, because she was the one that was on that boat, right? But then she ends up dead somehow, I think.
Which is why we're headed out there ourselves to assess the situation. We've nothing else to do after all.
So he asked an Alma diver to investigate the seafloor in the area.
I guess in a place like this, it would be faster to hire an Alma than a regular diver. Even in this age, you can still get some Almas to do contracted dives, huh?
Yeah, Alma divers, if anybody doesn't know, they don't use an air tank. They just like hold their breath and dive really fast and just do short trips.
It appears she was contracted to investigate
about an hour. Wait, wow, I cannot read. It appears she was contracted to investigate for about an hour,
at which point she was to return, even if empty-handed. I suppose the intent was just for her to survey the area to start with.
However, several hours passed with no word from the diver. I can see why Ikoma was worried.
We'll start by checking out the location. We can request a police search if we need it. Cersei, do you have a bad feeling about this?
I do. Ever since we first heard about this.
I see.
There's a strong negative spirit energy in the air that has only intensified as we approach the spot. Something happened there.
The diver didn't make it back. Is it safe for us to go?
I have a talisman that repels evil. It should be fine.
Well, if you say so. Worst comes to worst, we'll reunite in the afterlife.
Understood. Leave it to me.
And he's a brave guy going out here if somebody may have just died.
There's something there.
An empty boat, oh. That must be the Alma diver's boat. Doesn't appear to be anyone around. How unsettling.
You're right. There's something terrible here.
Is it really that bad?
It is. I could tell even from this distance it's coming from the bucket. It's saturated with sinister spiritual energy. There's some real powerful curse inside.
Oh, it's got that symbol on it, too.
Inside the bucket? Does that mean the Alma diver found something on the seafloor and brought it up to the surface? And perhaps succumbed to the curse without trying to get it out, or while trying to get it out?
Yes, unfortunately. As we cannot say for certain that what misfortune this curse may call forth, I need to remain cautious.
I need you, she said.
Can you dispel curses, Cersei?
It depends on the curse itself, but I believe I may be able to handle one of this caliber.
That's a relief. Is it really safe for us to approach that boat, though?
Yes, it's fine. For me, at least.
Understood. If anything happens to me, then I'll leave the rest to you.
Oh my, there's a small metal box in the bucket. This has to be the source.
Can we take it?
Yes, provided I can overpower the malice it's engulfed in. Ha! That was it. It should be safe to touch now. I'll leave that part to you.
No problem. It's pretty heavy. What do you think this box is, exactly?
It appears to be quite old. It likely dates back to the same time period as your map. Here, take a look at the symbol on the top of the box. Do you recognize it from anywhere?
Saw it on the map, yeah.
Oh, this is that strange symbol we saw on the map.
It's thus fair to say that the map was leading us towards this exact box.
That only makes its identity all the more intriguing. There's some strange lines on the side. Perhaps it's some sort of pattern. Appears to open from the top, but it's not budging at all. It would be quite a lot of strength to force it open.
I believe this box has been sealed with powerful spiritual energy. It was probably sealed by a skilled sorcerer a long time ago. I doubt it will open by any normal means.
I can feel something shifting whenever I turn it. There must be some kind of mechanism inside.
And I suppose we'll want to align the box with the spiritual energy of this place.
In English, please?
It is likely that the mechanism for unlocking the box is activated by orienting the box to the right directions in the right order.
I see. So I have to figure out where to point it. Leave it to me.
It's kind of like a puzzle where you have to, there's like a ball inside. It's got to tumble to hit a switch or something. A little maze inside you can't see. I gotta look around for a bird sticker, you know me. Gotta find my boids. Alright, there's not really much room for one, so... Unless it's behind something like last time.
The boat of the armor diver who found the metal box. There's not a trace of life left on it. According to Ikoma, the armor diver went to investigate alone without a companion to mind the boat.
That seems like a horrible idea no matter what. Why would you do that? Like, you're just gonna go diving without any gear or anything, without anybody to help pull you up in case something happens? That just seems like a horrible idea. Jeez. At least, like, Yuza had Azami or whatever on the boat. Whew.
I swallowed my fear and tugged on the rope earlier, on the off chance that she was still down there somewhere. Pulled up the whole length of rope, but no one was tied to it.
She must have found a Tomakazuki.
A fishing boat without a soul on board drifts on the lonely waves.
Okay, let's done with that. Surroundings.
The weather is great and the sea is calm, yet there's something unsettling in the air.
Yeah, I feel it too.
Are you trying to scare me? Stop!
You're freaking me out, Cersei. God.
The closest shore to us is the east side of the Shima Peninsula. You got a good view from here. I think I can see all the way up to Ijika to Kuzaki. From Ijika to Kuzaki.
That's right. Both have a lot of Ama, but the Kazuki is especially known for a holy ground for Ama divers.
I thought getting rocked by the waves on a small boat like this might make her seasick, but she looks fine so far. I had no idea we'd encounter a curse today. It's a good thing Cersei was here.
It's possible this area is key to getting the box open, so we should try to figure it out before leaving.
Got it.
Okay, you can say something different? Okay, no, we gotta do some more and then we can talk to her again. Look at the map.
This is definitely the spot indicated by the map.
Okay, check out the box.
Now then, how to open this metal box? I should investigate the box and rotate it so I can get a good look at all four sides.
All four sides. It's a box, so it should be 6 sides. I guess it's just the size that matter. So I'm gonna note that there's a single dot here because I think I saw multiple dots on one side, so maybe they're like numbered. Yep. Okay, there we go. 4, 2, and 3. Yep. Okay, so it's almost like a dice. I don't know how I'm supposed to do anything with that though. It looks like maybe these lines are like the shore. Maybe I gotta match it up with the shore line. I have to orient. Oh, this is a thought.
I have to orient the box in the right direction, but what is the right way? The patterns on the box sides are quite intriguing. Must be related to the solution somehow.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's the shoreline. Yeah, like that is right there.
Oh, I felt something move inside the box. I must be on the right track.
Nice, keep at it.
Okay, so the second one is this one. It's like right there.
All right, I'm on fire. That's 2.
3. Oh, right there.
It's here, I found it.
Good job, just one left.
I guess it might be a little bit of a trick because I think that might be Taishima Island because it's that old. So I might have to look. I think that's Kamishima, so I think maybe it's right here. Yeah, because that's where Taishima would have been.
Yes, it's open.
Congratulations, what's inside?
Let's see. Huh? What is this?
Oh, it's a curse talisman. Wow, it's like a fish. God, it looks really fucked up. Huh. Oh, it's like 2. Is this like another fish mouth? It's like 2 fish. Weird. Interesting.
Some kind of small wooden carving.
Oh?
Curse stone acquired. Curse of the Forsaken Fish. Oh, it's that. Right, we saw this thing underwater way earlier.
Whoa, something came out. Yikes, what is this? Make it stop.
Help me. It hurts. Terrible pain. I want to go. No, it hurts. Let me go. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude, this is crazy.
A deep and painful, resentful memory has invaded my mind.
Drift forever. Ill doers. Be as fish. Perish. You have acquired the Curse of the Forsaken Fish, Curse Stone. You can use it to turn people into fish and kill them when they are submerged in the water of Issei Bay. It can even be used at a distance, provided the target meets the requirements. Press the Use Curse button when you wish to use the curse. I forgot. This was in the last game too, where you can use curses on people. I totally forgot that was a part of this game. Wow. So this is the curse that cursed that woman that we saw's body. It was all desiccated. Dude, crazy. Curse of the Forsaken Fish. Because we saw this thing, I'm pretty sure, under the water when I was diving as Yuza. I went really far in one direction and I saw this thing. But it must not have been anywhere near this area, though. Because it was where Taishima was. The curse born from the final moments of Hayase, a mermaid brutally tortured to death by humans on Taishima around 400 years ago. Oh, maybe that's the one that Osato ate part of or something. Because yes, this person's definitely mostly fish with just a person's head, but definitely not depicted like that old picture, though. They look almost like a dragon in a way, too. Crazy, and they got big old horns. Definitely like a yokai looking thing. The curse has the power to kill any human submerged in the waters of Issei Bay by gradually turning them into a fish starting from their feet. However, the excruciating pain suffered during the transformation often results in them dying before the metamorphosis is complete. So maybe that's what that mummy thing is trying to depict, is that kind of thing. Because they die before it's done, so they don't actually completely become a fish. The bodies of those who succumb to the curse decay almost instantly, shriveling up into desiccated, fibrous masses. Okay, that definitely explains that corpse we found. The curse can also be triggered remotely, provided that the curse bearer knows their victim's exact location. Mermaids inherently possess the ability to turn humans into fish at will. The curse of the Forsaken Fish is the result of that ability being turned into a conditional curse and sealed within a curse stone. Interesting. Pretty cool.
What the hell was that?
I'm not certain. But I believe we may have just acquired a curse tool known as a curse stone. However, they are rarely possessed by such powerful curse echoes. How lucky!
If you truly are congratulating me, then I'll happily celebrate with you, but can I ask you something first?
Of course.
Am I cursed? Am I going to die?
I wouldn't say you are cursed, per se. There was a similar case in Tokyo last year.
The last game.
Hold on for a minute. I cannot think straight. This is far too overwhelming. An incredible amount of information flooded my mind just now. I need a moment to settle before I can take in anything else.
Oh, pardon me.
You must mean the resentful memory held by the curse. It's a phenomenon wherein the events leading up to the curse forming are passed on to the curse bearer so that its grudge will be spread. Oh, and curse bearer refers to someone who is haunted by a curse echo and thus able to use the curse.
Stop! I already told you I can't take any new information! You're doing this on purpose, aren't you?
Curse echoes / bearers. Curse echoes are the visual manifestations of curses. These manifestations are fundamentally related to the origin of the curse, but they do not always take the same shape, sometimes appearing in a more abstract or disfigured form instead. Unlike spirits, they are manifested illusions, and as such have no consciousness of their own. A person afflicted by a curse that has a curse echo is called a curse bearer. Even among curses, a curse that contains a curse echo should be considered very powerful in and of itself. Ordinarily, those who with no spirit sense would not be able to perceive a curse echo, but such individuals who become curse bearers by coming into possession of a curse stone or some other means can see other curse echoes. Curse stones. A type of curse tool that allows even people without any spirit sense to wield curses. As long as the tool meets the above criteria, items of any shape or size may be referred to as curse stones.
Also, I'm yelling all the time.
Many curse stones have conditions that must be fulfilled to use them, often based on the spiritual power and characteristics of the curse itself. If a curse stone has low spiritual power, it may only be possible to use it under specific circumstances, such as when under the influence of the Feast of Shadows, a spell that heightens the potency of certain types of spiritual energy. You know, I wonder if that field where they wanted me to type something in, it was just supposed to be curse bearer. Like, maybe that's like, I just don't know. I guess I was trying to think about, like, what would the kids know? But maybe the game was wanting me as the player to just give them the information. I don't know. I'm not sold on that yet, but maybe.
I think I just learned why Taishima sunk 400 years ago. Let me sort out all that first.
So it wasn't the Heike, it was actually just like this curse from the tortured mermaid, maybe? Interesting. Maybe.
Really? Tell me.
Yeah, give me a minute.
Toba city area.
Thank you for investigating the situation for me. I was involved in an accident many years ago, so I can't bring myself to go out on the sea anymore. You've been a tremendous help. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. We actually got our hands on something quite valuable, so we owe you thanks as well. That's great. I'd love to hear more about what you discovered, if you don't mind. Of course.
Is there a sticker? Somebody could have a sticker on the bridge or something.
God, what? Dude, I think I just need some lunch. Whew.
And Edie thinks it's breakfast. I bet that's why I'm getting all sleepy.
We're currently at the mouth of Kamo River. There's a residential area further upstream. Seems Mr. Ikoma had just arrived in Toba, so we managed to meet up without any problems.
Anything specific in the surroundings I can look at? Doesn't seem so. Let's take a look at Cersei. Even when a curse fell into our lap, she managed to remain calm. Only a consummate professional like her could be so cool and collected with all that's happening.
Will he believe us if we suddenly start talking about curses?
Can we just not bring it up?
You think you can explain it all without bringing them up?
Well, we'll see how far we get. We're in Ikoma's debt. Suppose we ought to tell him everything we've learned. He may look scary, but his demeanor is surprisingly gentle and kind. He's a very polite young man. People like him tend to be misunderstood because they're a little awkward. He must struggle with that kind of thing a lot. Talk about the Alma Diver.
The diver I hired to perform the search was an Alma diver living in Toba City by the name of Tamiko-suma.
Okay, so it wasn't Sumitama.
I thought there was no way we could pull off the search, but that's when she agreed to take on my request.
I feel terrible about what happened. I can only hope that she's still out there somewhere unharmed. Oh, this is one of the Alma divers that went missing that we learned about. Okay. Because, yeah, earlier when we were used in Azami, we learned that there were 2 Alma divers that went missing. So this is one of the 2 then. And they were on the mainland, so there we go. It's all coming together.
She had no way of knowing how dangerous this job was. Please, I am the one who sent her out there. If there is blame to take, it is mine. But still, what exactly happened out there?
About that. Well, let's start with this metal box the Alma diver found.
Please do.
I guess we'll talk about the box next then. So basically, this is the wooden carving we found inside the metal box.
I see. So your map indicated the location of this wooden carving.
We believe so.
The question is why? Why go all the way to not just hide it, but to conceal the map and a mermaid mummy? How very intriguing.
Yeah.
I suppose a carving like that would have had some value back in the day, but to go through all the effort to preserve it like this?
I believe what was preserved was not the carving itself, but the mermaid's memory that was stored inside the curse. Dun dun dun!
A curse? Dun what now?
That's right. In other words, the one who made that box the one who made that box entrusted it with a message, and we are the recipients.
Please, calm down. I'm feeling quite lost.
I know you're quite excited, but I think we have no choice but to start explaining the curse.
That's right. It's curse chit-chat time. You may be a bit too rational to believe what I'm about to tell you, Mr. Ikoma. Even so, I ask that you try your best.
Huh?
If you're ready to hear it, I'm ready to say it. Come, give me your answer in the next 3 seconds. 3.
I'm prepared. Please tell me.
He's such a freaking goof, dude.
I see. So the Taishima mermaid known as Hayase was killed by raiders. The hatred she left behind became a curse that entered this wooden carving.
Okay, so the raiders were real. Okay.
You, Avi, then inherited her curse in addition to the information from 400 years ago in the form of a resentful memory.
You absorbed all of that quite efficiently. I'm impressed.
This is actually not the first time I've heard of what happened if one touches a curse stone.
Oh?
Yes, but let's save that conversation for later. More importantly, you know what actually went down on Taishima 400 years ago.
That's right. I know the truth. All of it. What happened. What didn't. I know it.
You seem a bit frazzled. Do you need more time to collect your thoughts?
There's no need to worry. I'm prepared. But it will take some time to explain. Okay, let's think again. We're in Ikoma's debt. I suppose we ought to tell him everything we've learned. Okay, that's what we said last time. Talk about Taishima.
Is time to reveal what truly happened 400 years ago to Taishima and the mermaids. Please do tell. Around 400 years ago, the area of Shima province, which included Taishima, was governed by the Kuki clan. The leader of the clan at the time was Kuki Sumitaka, and it was his duty to protect the secret of the 3 mermaids living on Taishima. That must have been Sobe, Nagami, and Hayase. However, the legend that eating mermaid flesh could grant immortal life was well known. So he secretly hid them on Taishima so no one would learn about their existence. It appears Sumitaka thought of the mermaids as a sacred or divine existence. The thought of seeking mortality for himself likely never crossed his mind. The land where the mermaids lived was a sanctuary that he fiercely protected at all costs. In other words, Taishima was an island where people worshipped the mermaids in secret. Indeed, it meant people living on the island were not simple commoners, but guards tasked with protecting the sanctuary and its mermaids. Sumitaka was so dedicated to keeping the mermaids secret that he kept the existence of Taishima out of historical records. The public believed the island was entirely uninhabited. I see. By keeping its existence hidden, he was able to keep the mermaids safe. However, a vassal of Sumitaka's uncle, Yoshitaka, learned about the mermaids on Taishima. He passed this information on to Yoshitaka, who believed obtaining immortality was a must to rise to the top of an era that was often plagued by war. He commanded his vassal to lead his army to Taishima to do whatever he had to do to return with the flesh of a mermaid. Sumitaka and those on the island resisted, but the invading army was far too powerful. The island was swiftly overrun. Ultimately, Hayase was captured and brought before the vassal. The vassal tortured her, demanding she grant him the power of immortality. But Hayase did not yield. Even to the most hellish torments, she screamed and cursed with despair and anger until her dying breath.
That's horrible.
The hatred Hayase felt at the moment of her death led to the creation of the curse of the Forsaken Fish. And that is what I learned from the resentful memory inside the curse stone. But, to be honest, that is only half. Half of what? Half of the memories. The other half is the memories of the one who left behind the metal box. Namely, the story of how the curse of the Forsaken Fish became a curse stone. Okay, so we gotta talk about that then. Talk about the box. That reminds me, I meant to ask you about the metal box. If it's been lying on the sea floor for 400 years, how come it wasn't discovered until now?
It was most likely sealed inside a rock or something until a few months ago.
So it was sealed away until a certain amount of time had passed.
No, I believe the box's unsealing may have been triggered by something.
Talk about the Amadiver?
It appears Misuma decided to take on my commission alone and set out to the sea by herself. Perhaps things would have ended differently if there had been a boatman with her.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, dude. Bring a person with you. Talk about Taishima.
Having failed to obtain immortality, the vassal flew into a rage. He had all inhabitants of Taishima slaughtered as revenge for keeping this secret.
This guy was the worst.
Finally, he continued his advance into the sanctuary the islanders had protected down to the last man. There he destroyed its shrine. What irony that he came so close to the secret he had been so desperate to find. Are you saying the other 2 mermaids were still in the sanctuary? No, they had already fled Taishima. Actually, there were 2 other survivors, Sumitaka's adopted daughter, Princess Hatsune, who also escaped the chaos and the invasion unscathed. There was one other islander who managed to survive as well, taking with him the treasure the mermaids had protected. The mermaid's treasure. This may shed some light on the descendants you spoke of earlier. Of course, She may be a descendant of the man that escaped that day. We now know she was correct when she spoke of 3 mermaids living on Taishima. So we do. Putting descendants aside for now, let's return to 400 years ago. The vassals' invasion and destruction of the sanctuary was like a trigger. As a reaction to the sanctuary's fate and their own ill-deserved deaths, the sorrow and hatred of the islanders swirled together and formed into the curse of the raging waves, a natural disaster that shook the heavens when it descended upon Taishima. The curse bombarded Taishima with violent winds, earthquakes, and thunder. Then, in a final act to protect Taishima's lost sanctuary, they sank it into the sea to destroy all evidence of it ever existing. They destroyed it. The small island of Taishima sunk swiftly under the waves. The vassal and all his men were, of course, all killed thanks to the curse. But one problem remained. That wasn't the end of it? Taishima was destroyed by the natural disasters caused by the curse of the raging waves. But the calamity continued for many days. It must have seemed as though it would never end. I can't imagine how terrifying it must have been. Sumitaka even sought out a famous Onimoji to dispel the curse, but he was unsuccessful. The curse would eventually sink to the bottom of the sea, alongside the sanctuary, and be sealed there. Only then did the calamity end. Yet it appears this curse was so powerful that it required a sacrifice to be truly sealed. A sacrifice? Not just any sacrifice, but a living one. Princess Hatsune offered herself up to be that sacrifice. You said she was Sumitaka's adopted daughter, yes? And that she lived on Taishima?
That appears to be the case. Sumitaka was evidently so taken with her that he decided to adopt her. The rumor that she threw herself down a well was likely spread to cover up the real cause of her death.
So Princess Hatsune was actually sacrificed. The seal would hold for 400 years. They must have hoped that the curse itself would fade during that time too. However, the curse of the forsaken fish created by Hayase also continued to linger in the same place. So the Onimoji sealed it inside the wooden carving. Inside the wooden carving, turning it into a curse stone. Then the same Onimoji, knowing that the seal would only last 400 years, stored his memories within the curse stone to pass on this information.
He wished to pass down his knowledge for others to use in the event the curse outlasted the 400-year lifespan of the seal. He left behind instructions on how to completely dispel the curse of the raging waves.
Indeed. I've compiled it all in my files.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and read the whole thing again. We'll get kind of like a refresher of all what we know about the curse. So the curse of the raging waves, a curse that causes an outbreak of turbulent waves and violent storms in the seas around Kamishima. It is said that the curse was born from the resentment of the former residents of Taishima, an island once located to the south of Kamishima, after someone brought about its destruction. Some believe that several of the disasters that have struck Kamishima in the past were actually caused by the curse in some manner, including the Kamishima South Sea disaster that occurred 5 years ago. The person accused of bringing the curse to Kamishima was called the Raging Waves Curse Bearer and was shunned by the island's inhabitants. Hey, what's up, Panda? How's it going, man? Welcome in, welcome in. Thanks for coming by. You know, we're just plugging away trying to solve this mystery. Jeez. In truth, the curse has been perpetually active ever since its inception. The sacrifice offered 400 years ago merely served to seal the source of the calamity during this time. It is believed that Mare Minakuchi attempted to lift the curse once, and for all, only for her failure to give rise to the disaster 5 years ago. In the event that the curse did not fade during the 400 years it was sealed, the Onimoji originally responsible for sealing the curse left behind a plan to dispel it. It was his belief that the curse's power would have weakened enough by that point that performing the following steps would be enough to lift the curse completely. Trying for the last 34 years to solve misery. Good luck. Right now, I feel that, dude. Haven't we all? First, thou must unbind my seal, risen from the depths with the iron box. Second, thou must offer the still-tied mirror bequeathed by the sacrifice to the sanctuary. Oh, that's the bronze mirror. Osato's mirror. So Osato must be Princess Hasune then. So she's got like 3 names, dude. Third, let those who share blood with the lost souls of Taishima be the ones to offer appeasement. Okay, so you unbind the seal, return the deaths within that. So you have to free the curse stone that he bound. Okay, and then you have to offer the mirror. Offer the mirror to what? To the curse stone? Those who share blood with the lost souls. So that would be Yuza. Yuza's the only one that shares the blood with the lost souls now, because I'm pretty sure Sumikawa dies. I wonder if it's that hole that Yuza found where he saw himself. They thought it was a Tomokazuki. So maybe he has to bring both the curse stone and the mirror to that hole and offer it to the depths of the sea right there. Interesting. I mean, that's what I'm pulling from this. Huh. So that's what happened. And that wraps it up. I got all that info beamed into my brain in a flash, and yet I still managed to present it in an enticing narrative, eh? How amazing was that?
You're utterly astonishing. Wow. Incredible.
Invasion of Taishima. Around 400 years ago, during the Sengoku period, Oda Nobunaga was assassinated at Honnoji Temple. Kuki Yoshitaka, commander of the Kuki Navy, had steadily been gaining influence within the clan, but he now found himself at a crossroads in an era still racked by the turmoil of war. It was then that the vassal of the Kuki clan, Komatsu Sadamune, approached him with some intriguing information. According to Sadamune, 3 mermaids were said to be living on Taishima under the protection of some of the island's residents, even though the island was originally thought to be uninhabited. It was widely known through folklore that eating the flesh of a mermaid granted one immortality and eternal youth. Sadamune urged Yoshitaka to take advantage of this, suggesting that if he possessed such power, an invincible army would be his to command. So they were all going to eat the mermaid, and he'd have like a bunch of immortals. That sounds like it's going to create its own problems. Seeing this as an opportunity he had been waiting for, Yoshitaka ordered Sadamune to capture the mermaids and bring them back to him. However, Kuki Sumitaka, Yoshitaka's nephew and head of the clan of the time, strongly opposed his approaching Taishima. It was, in fact, Sumitaka who had secretly been protecting the mermaids on Taishima, believing the mermaids to be messengers of the gods and the island a sacred sanctuary. He had worked to keep them isolated from outside influence. His adopted daughter, Princess Hasune, was also living in hiding on Taishima at the time for other reasons, which further strengthened his opposition to Yoshitaka's plan. However, it was not long before Komatsu Sadamune learned of this. He reported to Yoshitaka that Sumitaka was not only planning to keep the mermaids for himself, but was also secretly moving to build an army of his own. Infuriated by what he perceived as an act of rebellion, Yoshitaka gave the order for Sadamune to prepare a military invasion on Taishima. Upon receiving the order, Komatsu Sadamune immediately set sail for Taishima at the head of the large army. Caught off guard by the unexpected attack, Sumitaka scrambled to send out his own forces in an attempt to resist, but was unable to prevent the enemy from landing. In the blink of an eye, the once peaceful and beautiful landscape of Taishima was transformed into a nightmare. The islanders, guardians of the sacred land, desperately fought back, but they stood no chance against seasoned soldiers hardened by years of battle on the front lines, and one after another they fell before the invaders. Sadamune ordered that even women and children be cut down without mercy. Goddamn. And soon the waters around Taishima ran red with blood. Sadamune's forces swept across the island, searching every inch for signs of the mermaids. As they pressed their assault, finally they discovered a mermaid in hiding by the name of Hayase. and captured her. Sadamune demanded that she make his troops immortal, but the mermaid staunchly refused, even as Sadamune turned to torture, inflicting unspeakable pain with every refusal. The torture escalated until eventually, even her supernatural nature was not enough to withstand the torment. On the brink of death, and resigned to her fate, Hayase gave a final, terrible cry, overflowing with resentment and anger as she breathed her last. Sadamune ordered his men to take the flesh of her body, but as they moved to do so, a strange phenomenon began to occur. All the soldiers who approached her body began to transform into fish, their bodies decaying rapidly as the transformation took hold. Hayase had cast a curse upon them with her dying breath. With the one mermaid Sadamune had captured dead and his forces decimated, he began a mad search of the island in pursuit of the remaining two mermaids. Eventually he found a deep cave in the interior of the island that extended far beneath the earth, reaching down to the seafloor. In the deepest part of the cave was a shrine, and a door with a powerful seal over it that he couldn't open no matter how hard he tried. Convinced this had to be the entrance to the Sacred Land, the home of the mermaids, Sadamune gathered all his remaining gunpowder and artillery and unleashed it on the door, destroying both it and the shrine in the process. The next moment, a violent tremor racked the entire island, and the skies above were engulfed by a storm. The repercussions of his destruction of the sacred land and the resentment of the islanders he had senselessly slaughtered blended together, unleashing an all-consuming calamity that seemed to shake the very heavens and earth. Ravaged by fierce earthquakes and vicious storms, Taishima sank beneath the waves, as if nature itself sought to protect the sacred land by erasing all traces of its existence. Thus were Taishima and the sacred land, along with Sadamune and his army, lost to the sea in an instant. The only survivors of this tragedy were two mermaids and two islanders that had successfully made their escape from the island. Hayase had, in fact, stayed behind as bait to allow the others to escape. The two surviving islanders were Princess Hatsune and a man named Somekawa, who had been assigned the duty of protecting a relic important to the mermaids. However, the tale did not end with the sinking of Taishima. Sumitaka eventually made it to the seas near the island, but a fierce anger and resentment darkened the waters around it, and the curse born from these dark emotions, the curse of the raging waves, had given rise to a storm that continued to rage even several days after the incident. Furthermore, the curse born from Hayase's final moments, the curse of the Forsaken Fish, also continued to exert its influence on the area, causing anyone who entered the storm's domain to transform into a fish. The situation had grown beyond anyone's ability to control. Sumitaka, looking for a solution, turned to Tsuchimikado Harukage, a renowned onimoji and a friend of Princess Hatsune. After conducting an investigation, Harukage concluded that the source of the curse was the sacred land, now sunk beneath the waves. Although the curse was too powerful to dispel, it would be possible to seal the sacred land by offering up a sacrifice, thereby suppressing its calamitous effects. The seal would last for 400 years, at which time he anticipated the curse of the raging waves would dissipate. Hearing this, Princess Hatsune volunteered to sacrifice herself in the hopes that it would bring peace to the souls of the islanders who had looked after her during her time on Taishima. With her noble sacrifice, the storm at last died down, and peace was restored to the seas around the island. A bronze mirror in Princess Hatsune's possession at the time was imbued with power to serve as a talisman to calm raging waves, and was passed from person to person over the years, eventually making its way to Kameshima. Tsuchimikado Harukage was also able to seal the curse of the Forsaken Fish in the wooden accessory that Princess Hatsune had been wearing, turning it into a curse stone. Harukage used the resentful memories contained within the curse stone to create a record of the event, which he sealed within a heavily locked iron box before concealing it in a rock on the seabed. In the event the curse of the raging waves had not abated even after 400 years, he made it so that the seal of the rock would be lifted at the same time as the seal of the sacred land, so that the record of what had happened and the method of undoing the curse would make its way to future generations. Meanwhile, to protect the sacred land and the mermaids, Sumitaka ensured all records of Taishima were erased so no mention of the island or the disaster that had befallen it would make its way into historical accounts. He also concocted a tale in which Princess Hatsune had thrown herself down a well in defiance of a political marriage in order to conceal her sacrifice. Afterwards, Kuki Yoshitaka, infuriated not only by his failure to obtain immortality, but also by the loss of his primary military force, murdered Sumitaka, who opposed him to the very end and seized control of the Kuki clan in both name and nature. He had his vassals search the area around Taishima countless times after that, but it is said that they found neither the mermaids nor any trace of their existence. Nice. Interesting story. Think.
Were any Koma's dead?
Oh, we already said that. That's the same thought as before. All right. Talk about Taishima.
I compiled all the details of the story in these files, so feel free to go over it at your own pace. Oh, thank you.
You're talking about the Yamadiver?
After Misuma found the metal box, you mean to tell me she died?
It is likely. If we consider that the curse of the Forsaken Fish had completely saturated the metal box, it is likely already too late for her.
How horrible. Since she likely turned into a fish and died soon after, there is a high chance her transformed body will wash up on shore soon.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's what he just said before.
Wait a second.
Is something wrong?
Avi, if someone is affected by the curse of the Forsaken Fish, the transformation starts at the feet and travels slowly up, yes?
I believe so, though it's hard to say for sure without witnessing it.
If it is true, then that may explain the true identity of the fish mermaids discovered in this area. It could have been the bodies of those who died in the middle of transforming due to the curse of the Forsaken Fish.
Oh, that's a convincing theory. Fish mermaids have been recorded as having only human heads or faces, or appearing human just from the chest or shoulders up. If the curse starts at the feet and travels upward, that would explain the variety of fish mermaids that have appeared.
The process is so painful that most die mid-transformation. Then the curse causes the corpse to rapidly wither, forming a fibrous mass.
Ah.
It may even be the true identity of your mermaid mummy.
Interesting. Still, without analyzing it directly, there is no way to know for certain. But perhaps this is why the mermaid mummies originating from Japan are of high quality.
Of course, this doesn't mean that all fish mermaids and mermaid mummies are authentic.
But it means there's a possibility.
Any number of fish mermaids could actually be victims of this curse. Actually, I just remembered there were 2 points from your tale I wanted to discuss.
About the events 400 years ago?
My first point concerns the vassal who tortured the mermaid in an attempt to obtain immortality. If all he needed was the mermaid's flesh, what necessity would there be in torturing her?
Oh, that's true. It could mean that the vassal ate the mermaid's flesh but did not become immortal. So he tortured her to figure out why.
As for the second observation, I have a theory about the area you described as the sanctuary. Could it possibly be the entrance to Ryugu?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, Ryugu is like an under... I think it's supposed to be like an undersea place, but it's like for some sort of dragon god kind of thing. Interesting. It's all coming together.
Ryugu.
It is sometimes also referred to as the eternal world or the world beyond. In some legends, mermaids are priestesses who serve the ruler Ryugu, the god of the sea.
I see. If the sanctuary was actually an entrance to Ryugu, then that could mean that the mermaids were not living on Taishima, but merely traveling there from Ryugu.
Yes, I believe that to be the case. It would also explain why the destruction of the sanctuary would inspire the fury of the god of the sea. To be honest, it's difficult to believe that the grudges of the inhabitants of Taishima would be enough to explain what happened. How could they possibly engender a curse powerful enough to sink an island and linger for more than 400 years? However, it's quite easy to believe that a curse from Ryugu could contain such power.
That also explains the necessity of a living sacrifice. Of course, one would be required to seal an entrance to Ryugu. But if the entrance to Ryugu was sealed, what became of the two mermaids that fled Taishima?
I doubt Sobe and Nagami managed to return to Ryugu. I believe they have been living here in the human world for the past 400 years, waiting for the seal to be lifted. They just hid somewhere away from the human eyes.
If that's true, then they've been successfully hiding for over 400 years.
Of course, if they were to hide themselves at the bottom of the sea, it'd be practically impossible to find them. It is also possible they've been wandering the globe rather than lingering in one place.
That would explain all the mermaid sightings around the world. They could all be the same too.
All this discussion of hiding made me realize something.
What is it?
Do you recall the story Mr. Ikoma told us yesterday of the mermaid who became human?
Are you suggesting she decided to join human society because she could not return to Ryugu?
It's a possibility we should consider.
But that occurred only a few decades ago. Why would she decide to become human just before the seal was released?
Perhaps her circumstances changed. We can only speculate on the motivations of someone who has lived for centuries.
I wonder if this is a kind of like a mix-up. What if Sato is actually the mermaid? And she's not Hatsune? Because she thinks she was, like, sacrificed. But maybe she's just confused because she had amnesia. And she's immortal. So maybe she is just the mermaid and she washed up on shore. That wouldn't be a few decades ago, though. That doesn't line up with that. Never mind. Because she actually just showed up, like, maybe a couple of years ago, or maybe like in the last year. Like, she hasn't been that long, so I think maybe that's not right.
It is possible she did not feel compelled, but decided to become human out of her own desire.
Could she have met someone she wanted to live a mortal life with, like in The Little Mermaid?
That is certainly possible, and quite romantic too.
I'll have to write this down. Could make a solid novel.
Oh, I've just realized something.
What is it?
You heard about this mermaid from the descendant of the Taishima survivor, right?
That's correct. I feel it's only right that they are informed of the things we learned. We'd love to talk to her. We're quite curious about this mermaid treasure, too. It must have been passed down to them through the generations. I understand. I'll probably drop by her place later anyway, since I also have to handle the matter with Miss Suma. I'll discuss it with her then. Thanks, that'd be great. That said, in return, I have a favor to ask of you. Go ahead. We will do whatever we can. You said that seal over the entrance of Ryugu was lifted. Is that correct?
Yes. It has most likely been gone for several months now.
Huh? Really?
A horrible curse has been swirling around the area where Taishima used to be. It's possible that curse is the curse of the raging waves, and it surged up from Ryugu once more now that the seal has been lifted. The fact we were able to open the metal box is proof enough that the seal has faded.
I think another interesting thing that we learned about the story is that there was like a big earthquake or something that happened recently. So I guess that earthquake is maybe what unsealed it somehow. Maybe the earthquake is related to it. Maybe it was caused by like the god of the sea or something. Interesting.
That would mean the entrance to Ryugu is now open.
Well, the situation is quite unstable now, what with the curse of the raging waves seeping in through the entrance.
At any rate, what did you want us to do? There's an island called Kameshima that is located close to the Taishima, where Taishima once was. There is something I would like you to do for me there. This request does in fact have some relation to our current conversation. Oh? Ryokan guest room. So we're back in the room that we were in before.
Now then, Avi. We decided to tell Ikoma everything, but I know there is some information you kept from him.
Oh, did I?
Yes, something from the mermaid's memories. The real way to obtain immortality.
That's right. I see no reason to inform him about it. After all, no matter what he may say about tourist attractions, this guy is also after immortality. I saw him straighten up when you talked about the mermaid being tortured because her captor required more than her flesh for immortality.
I wonder if, okay, so another theory. Ikoma might be connected to, what do they call him? Kukako Dono? Or I can't remember what they call him. The old rich man on the mainland who's trying to find immortality. Maybe Ikomo is like working for him to try to find it, maybe, I guess. I don't know, because he does have he's like a mentor to people, and I think he said something about how he had found someone to possibly succeed him. I wonder if it's this Ikomo guy.
I saw him straighten up when you talked about the... Oh yeah, I read that. Flesh for mortality.
Are you sure? I thought his goal, if he had one, was to quell the curse of the raging waves.
Perhaps there's that too. He even asked us to go to Kamishima and find the stilted mirror in his stead.
So they're there after what Tsuyu has. Interesting. It's all starting to connect.
You did mention lifting the curse required the mirror as well as the help of the Taishima descendant, right?
There was also something about lifting a seal first, but I don't know what that part is all about.
Well, I see no harm in quelling the curse, so I say we continue to cooperate for now.
Agreed. Though I do wish we did not have to approach Kamishima at all. The evil atmosphere is nauseating.
However, we must consider the possibility that Ikoma actually has his eyes set on the mermaids in Ryugu. It's possible he may be searching for mermaids like us. I suppose that decision can wait for later. First, we must find the treasure that the survivor managed to slip out of Taishima.
You mean the treasure required in addition to mermaid flesh when attempting to gain immortality?
Yes, it's a treasure known as the Tamate Bako. Tamate Bako. Mermaid flesh has to be put inside and purified by it to have any effect.
Well, that's a completely new thing. I wonder if it's like that wooden box that was in that story. There's like this ancient story of a guy who was brought to Ryugu on the back of a turtle, and one of the priestesses or whatever, he stayed in Ryugu for a while. He was welcomed there, and then when he decided to leave, they gave him this little wooden box, and they told him to never open it. But when he got back to his island, he found it had been like 200 years or something, and his town was gone. Everybody he knew was gone, and he was kind of distraught about it. And so then he opened the box, and then it made him instantly all of a sudden become super old, as old as he should have been, and died. And maybe it's that box that, I don't know. Maybe it's a long shot because the story details of the story aren't lining up, but that could be. I mean, it could be the box that you have to put the flesh in. I don't know. So provided one has both the flesh of a human mermaid and a Tamate Bako, then immortality is indeed attainable. Boom! You see, it is a little wooden box. A box often referred to as a relic used by the mermaids who once lived near Taishima. A similar box also made its appearance in the tale of Urashima Taro as a box gifted to the eponymous protagonist by Otohime. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, leading to its name becoming widely known. The box is filled with a spiritual energy similar in nature to that which fills Ryugu, the mermaid's original home. Objects placed within it may thus be kept in the same state they would be within Ryugu. It is said that the mermaids used the box to bring objects from Ryugu with them that they would otherwise have been unable to transport to the material world. But it also has the secondary effect of returning mermaid flesh, normally only able to exist in the transient state in the material world, to the state it would be in Ryugu, thereby restoring its ability to grant immortality. So why did the guy age rapidly when he opened it? In the story, in the tale of Urashima Taro. make sure I was right about that. Overcome with spirit, Taro turned to the, Tamatake Bako he had been gifted in a final grasp at hope. He had opened the box, a thick white smoke engulfed him, and in that instant, the hundreds of years that had passed caught up with him, turning him into an old man. Yeah, So I was right, that is what happened.
How does it all come together?
If we could meet with a Taishima descendant, they could probably provide us with information on the Tomato Bako.
I concur. If we could get our hands on the Tomato Bako, we wouldn't have to worry about Ikoma. However, it is likely he is wary of us and will keep us from meeting the descendant.
Ooh, I bet the old man has it. I bet that old rich guy has the box. Because he said he was talking about how he wanted to trade Sato for something that was needed to cure the Raging Waves curse. And so if he knows that this is like a part of how it is dispelled, then he must have it. Maybe.
However, it is likely he is wary of us and will keep us from meeting the descendant.
At the very least, we know he's cautious enough to keep her name secret. Well, that's why I asked him to hand her our little souvenir.
Ah, what was that all about anyway? You sure we're not going to need that iron box?
That will be needed again. Plus, you can think of it as a backup plan.
It's for her dowsing, right? Because we covered earlier, that was like the Chekhov's gun earlier, that she has the ability to douse, but she has to know the nature of the curse, and the stronger it is, she can, or the, not curse, but like paranormal phenomenon, that she can like identify it and figure out where it is. So I bet that's why she had her do that. It's like a tracker, but for a paranormal person.
Regardless of what happens, we'll be able to meet with the descendant tomorrow. Let's get our hands on that mermaid treasure. Time to find a Tame Tobacco.
Okay.
There we go. End of that chapter. Oh, we can finally get back up here. Finally got everything we need to get this one. Kamishima investigation. There was more that Yumiko Shiki said to Sato and Tsukasa. Sato had recalled it, but we didn't actually get to experience that when we first saw them meet. Now we also have Descendant in Duty, which I recognize that background, I think. Yeah, that's where we first saw Cersei when she, like, stunned Sato and Yumiko. Cool. Making some progress. All right. I think I'm going to go ahead and call it there for this week, though. I need to get something to eat. I am yawning like crazy. And yeah, I guess that's a little bit of a cliffhanger. We learned a lot of really cool stuff. We're really getting to the bottom of this mystery. So yeah, if you guys want to continue hanging out with me and figuring out what happens at the end of the story, come by again next Sunday. I should be streaming about the same time, and we'll cover a couple more chapters then and see if we can't uncover the mysteries of the mermaid curse. All right. Well, that's all for today, guys. So I hope you guys have a good evening or night or whatever time it is for you. So we'll see you guys next Sunday. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining. Oh, thanks again, Pon for the raid. Appreciate ya. Thanks, Panda, for coming to hang out, and Ryder. Bye. I'm gonna wait just a second because I know it was a little bit of a delay, so I'm trying to wait for the delay. Bye. Goodbye. Goodbye. Bye-bye, my friend.